Well, I have a question on Diego Garcia, but I'll let that wait until the end because I want to start with
Sure.
Lebanon. So, first of all, when you say that 250 total Americans have or I just want to make sure those are all American citizens
and immediate family members, and immediate family members
may not be Americans. Is that right?
Yes, correct. May or may not be American citizens. It's
so
250. Of that 250, some of them are American citizens, some of them are their immediate family members who are also eligible for departure.
Okay, and there is no distinction between they can even if they're not a citizen, if they're a parent or
if they're an eligible
child,
immediate family member, they can depart on these flights.
And these are the flights that you guys have organized.
Correct.
That are not on Middle East Airlines.
Correct.
Okay. So you're probably aware that later this afternoon there's going to be a news conference in Michigan with the Arab American group is organizing it. They say at least that they're going to announce a class action lawsuit against the U.S. government, but in particular the State Department for not doing enough. Now, the suit hasn't been filed, and yet, at least that I know of, and even after it's filed, I know that you were just going to defer to the Justice Department. But in terms of the complaint, the broader complaint that appears to be being raised, do you think that you've done enough to help?
So you're right. First of all, let me say that I wouldn't comment on a lawsuit, but I'm happy to talk about the efforts that we have provided to help American citizens get out of the country. First, I do want to note that we have been advising American citizens to leave for months now. Lebanon has been a level 4 travel country for months. We have been telling Americans that the security situation was unstable and that they should leave via commercial options while it is safe to do so. We know that a number of American citizens did leave over the past few months, but of course there are thousands and thousands who didn't leave and decided to stay, and some for very good reasons. Some we know have family members, and as I said, aren't going to want to depart Lebanon under any circumstances. But we have been advising people to leave via commercial options while they still could. Over the past week, as the security situation got more tense and as a number of commercial airlines that were flying out of Beirut as recently as the last 10 days or so started to cancel their flights, we then started identifying these other options to get American citizens out. The first thing we did, as I said, was to make seats available on Middle East Airlines, which is the only remaining commercial carrier flying out of Lebanon. And a number of American citizens have left via those flights. I don't have a number. As I said, we don't ever have perfect fidelity on the Americans that actually show up for those flights because it's via a commercial carrier. But we've been told by the carrier that a high percentage of the seats that they've set aside are being filled. But we just don't have an exact number. But it is in the hundreds. In addition, to supplement the seats available on Middle East Airways, we started yesterday organizing our own flights, and we had a flight with 300 seats available yesterday, and around 120 people went out on it. We had another flight with 300 seats available today, and a little over 130 people went out on it. We're going to continue to organize those flights as long as the security situation is challenging, as long as there aren't sufficient commercial options available, and as long as there's demand. So what we have tried to do is be responsive to the situation as it changes. So when there were ample commercial flights available, we were urging American citizens to take them. When the number of commercial flights shrunk, we first worked with the remaining carrier to make seats available. And when we found that there were still more American citizens that wanted to leave, we organized our own flights, and we'll continue to do everything that we can to help American citizens who want to leave get out safely.
Yeah, one of the other complaints that's been raised is that the cost of a seat on one of these planes, particularly on Middle East Airlines, is just exorbitant. People can't afford it. So one, if you are an American citizen who wants to leave Lebanon on one of these MEA flights and can't afford it, can you go to the embassy and get an emergency loan to pay for that seat and for the seats of your immediate eligible family members?
So I don't know if you can get a loan from the embassy for a seat on the Middle East Airways flight. I'm happy to check on that. But And any individuals who have that question, if they register with our website, either the one I outlined before or the embassy, people will be able to answer that question directly for them, look at their exact circumstances. I will say, yes, we know that the price of the flights on Middle East Airways have been extremely high. It's what you would expect in a situation where they're the only carrier that remains flying. And we know that's very difficult for some people. But I will tell you, that's one of the reasons why we organized our own flights, because we do recognize that a number of people just can't afford to pay those flights. And I'll say, and while the cost varies on the flights that we have organized, the most that any American will pay for a seat on those flights is $283. And if they can't afford $283, they don't have $283, we will provide them a loan from the U.S. government for the cost of that ticket on board one of the flights that we have organized. So we would urge any American citizen who wants to leave to take the advice that we are offering to register with our website, and we will reach out to them about flights that are available and work with them to try to get them on a flight they can afford.
And those flights that you've organized are to where, do you know?
The two flights that have left so far are to Turkey. The flight that left yesterday, the flight that left earlier today are to Turkey. If we have additional Istanbul, and people can always obviously move onward from there. If we make flights available to additional destinations, I will update you after those flights have taken place.
Last one, extremely briefly, just you said at the very top you made 1,400 or arranged for 1,400 seats available. Those are on MEA, right?
Correct.
Okay, 14,
Correct.
and then on top. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep. All right.
Thanks, Matt.